Alright, gonna do a short video on a very simple idea. It's using the tan sao. Really what the video is about is not so much the application of it, like everybody knows how to use tan da or whatever. It's more the energy idea behind it. So I have two basic ways on how I could apply it, or the way it could be applied. So the first one I want to do is just the traditional one, just to contrast the second one that I'm going to do, which is different. So a very typical kind of way that people use tan da, again, this is what, it's very typical, nothing unusual or different, is just if the guy steps in, throws a punch, I could angle off slightly, take a line, like maybe 45 degrees, do the tan sao using the call structure and hitting, right? That's very typical. Basically, it's typical Wing Chun, right? Standard kind of thing. The other way I look at it, so when you do that, if the guy is very forceful, let's say he comes directly, and I don't angle in properly, it could throw me back. He kind of does like a pushing punch, right? The other way that I do it is, even though this is good, I still have to generate a certain amount of force to deal with his incoming force. So if my structure is poor, let's say, or weak, it could throw me back, or it could just go right through my tan sao and hit me, right? The other way I look at it is I'm using this tan sao not so much to impose myself. I'm not trying to impose my structure or my force against his attack. What I'm simply doing is I'm just sort of guiding his punch or his attack away from me while I'm striking. So I never try to interject my force or my structure against his punch. Sort of like the way a bullfighter, when the bull comes, he basically just steps aside. So that's what I'm doing. So you might say, well, in Wing Chun, when you do this, it's the same idea, but to me it's not, because Wing Chun uses this forward energy. If I'm using forward energy when he comes in, I'm still imposing my force to some degree on him. Okay, it takes a certain amount of strength. When I do my tan sao, I'm not imposing any forward energy. I'm actually, it's a neutral energy. So when he punches, I'm simply guiding it out of the way, absorbing it, like the way maybe a sponge would absorb water, while striking at the same time. So when he touches my bridge, to him, it doesn't feel like I actually did anything. He still thinks he can hit me because there's no resistance. He just feels my hand, and he still feels like he can go through me and hit me. So why I would do it that way is actually it's quicker. I don't need to have great Wing Chun structure or any structure at all, and it's actually quicker. So when he punches, let's say, boom, I can come in right away immediately. So basically what I'm doing, I do it slow. When he punches, my hand is actually just guiding it where he's intending on punching, and then I strike. When he reaches the end of his punch, then I attack him. I can also move too. When he punches, I can circle around him, see, and do whatever I want, because I have a lot of time. I'm not imposing myself. If I do this with structure, for that 1 second or whatever, I'm actually frozen there in time, because I have to impose my force and my structure to do this. And if he counters it, it's slow. He can counter it, but the other way, it makes it much more harder to counter, because he still thinks he can hit me, when in actuality he's missing the point. He's gonna go. He's gonna go right through me. It's like walking through a revolving door.
Especially if I commit to that strike.
Yeah, well, of course, he's gonna commit. If he doesn't commit, then it's not anything I have to worry about. Then I'll commit to it. So let's say he does a fake. Then I'll do a real attack on him. But all I'm doing is just simply moving his force. Everything I do, I just use that as a simple example using the tan sao. But really, any hand could be fuks a punch, fuks out. See? All I'm doing is simply redirecting his force. It's coming in straight. I'm redirecting it this way, or off the center line, and hitting him. Instead of just doing something like this, I'm doing a hard movement. I have to impose myself on his attack. So tan bang fuk, any of those basic hands that I use, is the same way. I don't impose myself. When he attacks, he still feels like he can hit me, because I'm not using structure or force on him. I'm not using an angle. I'm using a circular movement. So even this one, when I do the tan sao, it's small, but I'm actually making a small So it actually, instead of doing an angle like this, with forward energy, I'm doing a backward angle and then slightly recycling it. See? And this way. Okay, so that's basically, it's a conceptual thing I'm trying to get across. Not so much as a technique, just doing tanda. Everybody does tanda. It's the energy behind it, the principle behind it, which is different than your kind of standard way of dealing with it. All right, that's it.